Always say the gap between expectation and reality is where you find yourself disappointed.
The only way I think he can show up for me is big and dramatic and just this like boom.
When God opens the door and you take that step of faith, he'll keep giving you those reassurances. I realize when you go on vacations, you gotta let go.
When you let go and you just let God take the reins and really lead you in your life, you get to see those blessings.
It's relationship advice. If you want to get married to somebody, like just travel with them first. That's a really good test if you'll make it or not.
God said, stop expecting the big, dramatic miracles.
I used to not enjoy vacations. This is how much of a control freak I was. That's when God took a hold of my heart and he was like, let go of the reins a little bit and let me work.
I want to live my life so the people that know me but don't know God will want to know God because they know me. Well, welcome back to another episode of Crazy Unbelievable Faith. I am your co-host, Brian Owen, alongside my wife, Kersha.
Hi.
And we have a special guest with us, Raya.
Hi,
welcome.
Raya.
Hello, everyone. Thank you.
How are you?
I'm doing well.
Awesome. Well, for those that are not watching and are maybe just listening in on this, we definitely encourage you to jump over to YouTube, watch the video. If you're not an active subscriber or follower, please do so. As our community keeps growing, again, the biggest impact out of this is to bring hope and encouragement. And we're very blessed today to have Raya on, a former colleague of mine that I worked with. And it's so cool just how God works in different ways and through your networks with people. So I'm going to turn it over.
I want to put a plug in. Raya hosts. She's one of the hosts of the Writers Doubt Club.
Yeah.
And she recently hosted me. You guys definitely need to go check her podcast out. It's amazing. Along with Tyranny and Susan. Those are the three hosts of the Writers Doubt Club.
Yeah. We'll make sure we link you into this, Raya. So our community can follow you. So yeah.
Podcasters got to stay together.
That's right.
It's a good community.
That's right.
Welcome to the ecosystem of podcasting.
Yes. And thank you so much, Kersha, for being on ours. It's just so exciting that you're writing a book, and thanks for sharing your story.
Yes. Well, thank you for letting us host you. Today, we want to talk about how God took you from being a very well-planned, methodical planner in your life to letting go and letting God lead. What can you tell us about that shift, maybe changes in habits, how the emotions that came around that?
Yeah, definitely. So I've always been a type A person. I love planning. I wake up each morning and I write my to-do list and what I'm grateful for and what my word of the day is. Like I've always just had it set, love to set the tone. And, I was like that all the way through high school too. And I was saved, I think between 17 and 18 years old. And that's when God took a hold of my heart and he was like, let go of the reins a little bit, and let me work. And I had just such a tight grip on my life. And the moment that happened, I met my husband, I met my best friend, I had great adventures. But I think the story where it really, God teaches you things early, but then you really don't get it until later, you have those moments.
Yep.
But my husband and I got married in March of 2010, and he just graduated college with a degree in computer forensics. And it was such a specific degree that we had to move, right? Being where we were, just there weren't jobs available. And God was like, Arizona. And we lived in Pennsylvania. And I don't think I've ever been west of Ohio. It was so... What? The Wild Wild West? We're going to Arizona? We don't know anybody. We don't know anything about the culture, the landscape, anything. And God was like, I got you. Just pack up the truck. Let's go. And it was one of those things that because I didn't know anything, I couldn't plan for anything. And so he's like, this is the real, really let go. And I will say we moved cross country. We drove a budget truck, went all the way across country, parked it in our new apartment. And we were so excited because this apartment had a saltwater pool, a gym, a volleyball court. We were like, this is going to be so awesome. We parked the truck before we even unload our bed, let's go check out the amenities. And so we go down and it's probably 7, 8 o'clock at night. We go down to the pool area and there's a bunch of people playing volleyball. And we're like, hey, and they're like, oh, are you new here? And we're like, yeah, like couple minutes. And they're like, come play volleyball. And we're like, okay. And so we played volleyball that night for hours on end, met this amazing family, amazing community. It was a Saturday night. They're like, hey, you want to come to church with us in the morning? And we're like, yes. Can you help us unload our beds so that we can, go to sleep tonight? And then, in the morning, we go to church with you guys. Went to church with them and ended up like next day finding a car. My job, I walked across the street to. We found a church. We did Thanksgiving and Christmas with this group of like all these people in our apartment complex. So we had a family like right away. There was like no doubt whatsoever that we
Wow.
were supposed to make this move.
Awesome.
That is cool. I did.
Yes,
That's an amazing story.
it
I
is.
had
And I've been out here 15 years now, and it it's easy to say like hindsight 2020, like what it was meant to be, but the way that it continues to go is like my whole family from Pennsylvania, from my sisters to their husbands to their kids to my mom and dad and my grandma, they've all moved to Arizona. And we've all had these God stories to share about what we're doing here. So it's been pretty cool to let go and let God. And I've always had the verse Jeremiah 29:11 supposed to be my verse in my heart, and I wasn't living it until I was like, wow, God, you have way bigger plans than I have. For I
mhm.
know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans for you to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future.
Mhm.
Sure
Yeah.
did.
So the church that the new friends took you to, are you still going to that church?
I'm not, because we moved, but
Okay.
then it was crazy because that family moved out, further east too. So we're kind of together again.
Okay.
And, even if we're not going to the same church, we'll still go to like their children's,
Mhm.
baptisms and stuff at the churches. So it's just amazing connection.
That's awesome. That's
That's
awesome.
great. That really is. And it's such a good testament to just when you let go and you just let God take the reins and really lead you in your life, you get to see those blessings.
I,
Yesterday, we were just hosting a podcast on um, like letting fear control your life, like who's steering your wheel, and it can be either fear, control, or God. And we just kind of picked those three. There's others too, but fear, it derails you. It leads to
mhm.
distraction. Control leads to oftentimes a frustration. You just feel like you're spinning your wheels. And then when you let God do it, you live a life of purpose and full of faith. And
Well, it's, it's the blessings that come out of it. It's, Rhea, you and I have talked off and on for years, and as you've made moves and come back and things like that. But, when you have genuine connection with people, you can pick up that phone call or, a conversation. It's almost like right where you left off.
Yeah, exactly. I
And
love that, we've gone different ways, but we've always stayed connected. Whether, what are you reading? What are you
yeah,
doing?
yeah,
What are you praying about? What can I pray for you about? So
yep.
it's wonderful to have that connection. And yeah, I guess I was the one to leave first. I did go to a small tech company, which this is a big, same Jeremiah 29:11 story for me. I loved where we worked. It was such a hard decision for me, but I really prayed about it. And actually, I worked for this small tech company for 2.5 years, and it wasn't actually for me. So then I'm like, God, why? Why did this whole thing happen? I learned a lot. I enjoyed my time there, but it just wasn't for me. And what's amazing about it is the philosophy of this small tech company was like, you don't have to have a degree. We want to teach you from the ground up. We really want technicians that are like, they love to learn, easy to learn. I got my brother-in-law a job there, who
Mm.
is like a high school graduate. He's just like super smart, super, super smart, wanted to be in the tech industry. And it was like, God took me there to know that an industry like that existed so that I can bring my brother-in-law in there to thrive and to, take care of my sister and my nephews. And it's like
Mhm.
he loves it there and is thriving there. And I'm like, though it wasn't for me, I came back to where I originally came from and I'm happy now. But it was like, wow, okay. That little path
Yep.
that I wasn't ready for.
But the obedience that you had led to the blessings of others, just like Kersha was saying earlier. Like it's the ripple effect of that was something we talked about yesterday, and the things you can't see out of it. We just have to continually walk, whether that is one foot in front of the other, or whether it's literally I'm crawling, because it's so scary, but
Yeah.
we're still moving forward.
Definitely.
And then
I feel
behind
like
that,
that one was the fear one that you were talking about, Kirsha. Like that the job one was fear. The first story is control. And I just think it's so funny. Like, I used to not enjoy vacations. Like, this is how much of a control freak I was. And we just got back yesterday from San Diego. And I realized when you go on vacations, you gotta let go because everything's gonna happen. Everything's delays or I don't know what's gonna happen.
Yep.
You're gonna lose your suitcase.
Yep.
You're gonna
Preach it,
forget
sister. Preach
something.
it. I
My
hear
husband
ya.
always forgets to pack a belt. I think everywhere we go, we end up buying a new belt. I don't know what that is about.
I've left shoes, I've left belts.
Underwear.
Oh, we don't even say that out loud. It's fine.
Oh, we're
Anyway,
gonna
so
say that out
traveling,
loud.
yeah,
This is true, authentic
It's
Christian
true.
talk here.
It's true.
Underwear is necessary.
We rolled all the way from Kansas City to Minneapolis, and we're like 30 miles from there. And I was like, I don't think I have shoes. I had tennis shoes and like a suit. I'm like,
Brian.
well, this is not going to work out. So here we pull off Target or somewhere and got a pair of
Oh my gosh.
shoes. Yeah.
Yes.
Just recently, we went to Atlanta, and our 12-year-old daughter
Oh yeah.
forgot to pack any underwear. She had the one pair of
pair.
underwear she had on when she left the house.
That's what she was going to wear for 7 to 8 days.
We're like, "What? Where's your other underwear?" And she's like, "Mom didn't put that on the checklist." And I was like, "I put outfits. That's part of an outfit." And she's like, "Nope, wasn't on the checklist."
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
So it's great.
Essentials. Yeah, I don't know how you do it with kids as well. I can barely keep my husband's stuff. Like even when we would go like Italy, we went in March, and like he left like the crossbody bag underneath the chair, and like that was supposed to be like that secure like passport RFID stuff, and he just left it, and I'm just like I don't know, but yeah, just traveling. And I always say it's relationship advice. Like if you want to get married to somebody, like just travel with them first. I think that's a really good test if you'll make it or not. But it's that control part, and honestly, I have enjoyed so many more vacations now that I've let go and like try not to control it because I always say the gap between expectation and reality is where you find yourself disappointed, right? So it's like if I'm controlling everything and it doesn't go by my plan, I'm upset and I'm like, well, if I didn't control it to begin with, I can have a great day. God is just like slowly teaching me that in good ways and hard ways.
Well, you
Right.
said it back at the beginning that sometimes it takes multiple reoccurrences of that for us to get it.
Yeah,
to
we're
our
not
head.
very smart humans, are we?
No. The fleshy side of me I'm very slow on the uptake. I'm just a sanguine guy who likes to have fun. I get to party with the type A person, so that's always fun. Like, what time do we get a party? What time do we get to have fun? No, I'm just kidding.
What time are we gonna wing it?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah, that's coming up. Oh,
Now-
okay, I can't wait.
I will say, he takes my type A personality and makes it have sarcasm and humor in it
Yeah.
pretty well, like daily. That he'll say something and the kids will get all bent out of shape, and I'm like, he's just being sarcastic. Like, just move on.
We're so gullible. That's
Yeah,
me.
it's fine.
I'm very gullible
But
too.
you talked about the traveling together, and it made me think of a story for Kersha and I. We were dating, and you'd just come back. Did you just come back from your deployment?
Yep.
Yeah. And we went down to the Gulf. We went down to Destin area, and then she was stationed in Mississippi, in Biloxi for a while. And you were like, "Hey, there's this," and I love barbecue. Like, hello, Kansas City barbecue. And I said, "Man, she said, there's this great barbecue place we have to go to." So we're leaving. We drove from Destin to Biloxi, which is not just up the road. Like, it's several hours. Well, this was pre-GPS stuff. It was still kind of TomTom was like out there.
Oh no, I had a Garmin.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yep, I
but
had
it
a
was,
Garmin.
But anyway, so she got lost because she was coming from a different way she wasn't used to. And I'm like, babe, like I'm starving. And I was like, did you pack any snacks? And she goes, no. And I said, well, my mom always packs snacks for me. And she's like, well, I'm not your mom. And I was like, just saying, when I travel, I have to have snacks. So that was you learn. And we see that in our own kids. They're like, do we have snacks? Are we there yet? Oh yeah, like the whole.
So now, who is the snack packer?
Right there.
That guy.
And we have plenty.
I'm just fine without a snack. Like, we don't need to emotionally eat through this road trip, okay?
But the restaurant she took me to is a place called The Shed in Ocean Springs. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, so good.
That sealed the deal. He knew he was marrying me after that.
You didn't have the snacks so that you could have ate more at the
Well, we
Shed.
rolled up. I thought I was going to faint because I was like, sugar wasn't there. But we roll up to this place. Literally, it's called The Shed, but the old building it was literally like a lean-to. And you didn't know if you needed a tetanus shot to walk into it. But man, it was good. It was some good food. So.
Yeah. So you want to talk about a God story out of that real quick? The whole thing burnt down.
Yeah.
Except for the recipe book, which was his grandmother's recipe book, I think. The edges were charred, but the rest of the building was completely gone.
The desk that it sat in, like the drawer, they opened up and it was there, and everything else is like gone. It's like,
oh my goodness.
You want to talk about God?
So going back to, you guys are leaving Pennsylvania.
Yep.
Unpack a little bit of the emotion to it. Like,
what's
going through your mind? Like, yes, you're trusting, okay?
Mm-hmm.
That's a huge, that's, again, not just down the road. Like, you're leaving your family, your connections, your roots. Like, what's going through you and your husband's mind at the time?
Yeah, I mean, especially as newlyweds too, right? It was just like we just got married, and so it was like, following him too, and like following God and what we were going to do. But we just had such a great church and like Bible study and group there that I was actually like more afraid to leave that. And I'm like, what, God, why is God taking me away of such a good thing? And what's crazy is like those people are still big parts of our lives, but I would say at first it's just like an exciting adventure. You're hitting the road, and we had 2 broken tires, 2 blown up tires along the way, one in Oklahoma and one in Texas. I'll never forget those spots. So I'm like, all right, are we really supposed to be doing this thing? But yeah, I think it took us about 2.5 days to drive cross country, and it was a great time for us to like talk everything out. So it's only me and him now. And I wonder, I would just wonder, I don't know if this would have been a thing, but at our wedding, our pastor put a Jewish huppah over top of us. Have you ever heard of that tradition?
Mm-mm.
I haven't either. And it was a Christian wedding, but it's just so funny that he was like, I feel like you guys need this. And it's like a huppah, and it's like, you become man and wife together under God. It's just the 3 of you. Nobody else. And I feel like maybe we were so intertwined with our family and our friends that like we needed to come together as, husband and wife. And so we were out in Arizona by ourselves for 6 years. And I always just think about how beautiful of a time that was to like, just to get to know each other and, be really a team on like, I'm supporting him in this job. And then, my career really started taking off. And so it was just one of those things that we didn't have to deal with. Whose house are we going to Easter? Whose house are we going to for Christmas? Like all of those things. And it was funny because now that our family has all moved out to Arizona, we're having like these newlywed arguments. And we've been married 15 years. And we're like, oh my gosh, these newlywed arguments. No wonder people fight about this all the time. But, you never really know why it all happened. But I do think about that, that drive out there. What do you want from life? What can I help you with? What can I pray you with? How can I be your partner? It was just really good quality time for us.
I love how you said that and articulated that too, Raya, because it's so crucial. I think this younger generation, they're like, well, I got to know everything about this boy before I marry him. And I'm like, you don't know a lot. when you get married, but you know that you want to build a life with that person,
Yes.
right? And that you love them. And I feel like you go into marriage with this strong like lust emotion, and then life happens and you're like, okay, we got to figure this out. But that's when those moments when you really have to go really head to head and really grind down your independent selves and rebuild yourself together as one. It happens in those hard times. And I think we all think retrospectively that it should happen in the high moments of life. Like, oh, this is how we would get through this, when we're looking at it before it even happens. And I just think that it's so crucial for people, just from a marital standpoint, of you fall in love and you love each other, but there's so much you learn about each other in those first few years. You learn how to handle certain situations with one another. What's okay, what's not okay. How to respect each other, living with each other. That's huge.
Everyone starts out with like a lust
Oh, yeah.
versus love. I mean, the love bubble they always talk about. You're in such a love bubble. The drive that you described though is big, and leaving the community, the church, like those are things even Kersha and I have grappled with, where it's like, okay, God, what are you calling us to do next? Like we've been very blessed, excuse me, with our network, and it's opened up doors to other areas, and we're like, okay, God, do you want us here? Do you want us somewhere else? Like, where do you want us? Like, we're willing to be obedient, but there's still that small voice in the back, and you're like, gosh, but our church is great, our community, like there's that. I think a lot of people probably listening or watching this, they're grappling with that right now. And so I guess if you could go back and tell yourself, into retrospect to your point, or you could tell your future self, like in thinking through, if I'm struggling with that right now, what would be some advice that you would give?
Yeah, just go with it. Don't listen to the voice in the back of your head. It's definitely, prayers. And I'll say I just witnessed it again, kind of what you were saying, Kersha, retrospectively, is my parents, they stayed on the East Coast. My dad was a worship leader, a youth pastor, very ingrained with the church, had a huge community. And my dad always says, like, when he decided that they were going to move to Arizona to be closer to his kids and grandkids, he feels like he actually had like a funeral in his living way, because they like lined the streets to say goodbye to him. Like that's how much love they had for my mom and dad being part of their community. And my dad was like, are you sure? Like this is, we've been doing so much work here and you've been such a light, and so he was very grateful for that. But they moved as well, and it was it's been a wonderful. I'm so grateful to have my family close by. Like I can't imagine. I do know, like my middle sister had her first baby, and then my youngest sister was like, I want to be the cool aunt, and I'm like, I'm already the cool aunt. Like so the FOMO of like really missing out on nieces, nephews, grandkids, it really just brings like big picture to me of like that's the things that matter in life, and so to follow that. But advice, I don't want to say like God just like said it to me, because it was like there was definitely resistance, right? But it happened so naturally and everything was like going according to plan. I feel like when God opens the door and you take that step of faith, he'll keep giving you those reassurances along the way. And I'm like, if you keep running into these walls and praying about it, it's like he's trying to get you to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gosh, I feel like she's kind of speaking to us. This is kind of, wow. All right. We'll see.
Speaking
That's how God works.
Who knows where we go? Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, well, that's a whole nother, I I get squirrel moments all the time, so I'm gonna try to stay focused. I'm trying to stay right here.
Yeah.
So,
No, but I love that. I mean, I love that we were newlyweds. I feel like it happened at the right time
mhm.
in our marriage, and it was a lot of fun
Mhm.
being able to do that and discover that. And yeah, we had to learn how to fight. I think we learned how to fight on the way. Trying to give
Yeah.
somebody directions. You talked about a tom tom. I think
Yeah.
I had a tom tom,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
going across country, and I was supposed to be the navigator. And then, I had to trust him driving too, but every time I closed my eyes for a nap, that's when we blew a tire. So I don't know.
Not calling it, but okay, that's fine. It is. But I think back, like you were saying about your parents leaving, and
Yeah.
and how deeply rooted they were and connected. This was something that our pastor even said to us when we were selling our house and we were going to build, and I was really grappling with it. I'm like, gosh, we were fortunate and did all of this, and our pastor kind of said he spoke words to me that really resonated. He's like, the blessing of you letting go of something opens the door for someone else. And Kersha's the what's the phrase? At the end of your
At the end of your obedience is somebody else's deliverance.
yeah. So I think like we were obedient in walking through. Okay, we're gonna sell our house. We're gonna move. We're moving our kids into a rental house or a building. But there was a purpose for that family, for that couple, and we don't always get to see it. And we were very blessed with Pilot Jerry on the last episode that he did.
About forgiveness.
But yeah, about
Yes,
the
that was a
forgiveness.
great story.
But taking his eyes off and this guy's taking millions of dollars from you, and he was able to step back and say, "But I'm doing it for his kids,
Yeah.
to grow up fatherless. I don't want." It's like, wow, to be able to come at it with such a wide angle perspective, that's not easy. Not easy by any
No,
means.
Right.
it's not. And
Well, and it just really speaks to being Christ-like.
yeah.
You know, Uh, honestly,
Yeah.
it is. It's I mean, I can't even put words out there that describe what he possibly could have even felt in those moments. And then God came to him and said, focus on his kids.
Yeah.
That's just,
Yeah.
it's huge. And the kids turned out great. What would the kids have not turned out like without dad in the home?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what
Well,
are
yeah, like this control has been talking about mostly like me and my control, right? And I just think it has this like ripple effect that not only am I growing with my relationship with God by being faithful, I think a lot of people see it as well. So like even in the next iteration of me following, and it might seem crazy unbelievable to somebody else, the moves that we're making, they get to see the faith that comes through. And Brian, you said like selling, your house and building. This could be a whole nother podcast about like holding on to that money, right? Like I was actually really scared to move into this neighborhood because it was way above our budget. And I'm like, God, like I feel like I want to be a good steward of your resources. Like I don't think we have this money, but you want us in this neighborhood. And we were talking in the beginning of our conversation is like my neighborhood and who I hang out with are a lot of atheists, and I am like in the middle of it, and I'm God used me, I'm supposed to be everything worked out financially. We love our neighborhood, we love our community, I love the people that we are spending time with, and so God is just on the move again, even though it wasn't very clear on paper that we should sign for this house.
yeah.
And we can really relate to you on that. Like, I mean, we have several podcasts on this, but man, Brian he really wanted to hang on. And I'm like, if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. If it happens, great. If it doesn't, it doesn't. What God asked me to do was build a house. And that's what I needed to focus on. I didn't need to focus on where I was moving to. I needed to focus on building the home. Whether the home was for me or for somebody else, it didn't matter.
We flipped roles. Like I totally became the type
Control.
A control
Oh, yeah.
person.
So I was just
where it
gonna
was-
say, she just
Yeah.
said it'll be, and I'm
Oh
like,
yeah.
God said that to me
And
too, and I was like,
and the time before
Isn't it amazing how we could go from type A to Sure, I'll move wherever you want me to
Sure,
move,
whatever you
God.
want.
Yeah. I mean, it's just God works in mysterious ways. But I think the beauty of it is that you stay connected. Like you were talking about, you guys learn to fight, you learn to battle through things. But as you're talking about living in the community you're in, like, there's people watching you right now, and they're is it, oh well, see, they're that Christian family that just like it's a double-edged sword. I mean, that thinking goes on, or it's the wow, wait a minute, like they have something. There's something about them that's different, and I like it.
And we
There
all
was a
love each other, which is amazing. It's a beautiful thing, especially in the world that we're living in right now with so much separation. It's like, I really like you. I really
yeah,
like you. There's so
yeah.
much good, and I feel like it's opened a lot of doors for conversations
I
as well.
heard a good quote the other day that I want to live my life so the people that know me but don't know God will want to know God because they know me.
Amen.
And
Yep.
I think there's a lot of truth in that, just because it's how you're living your life.
Mm-hmm.
It's your day to day. Again, it's not glamorous, it's not pretty, but people are watching and people are observing, and so it's just always, I guess, always being mindful of that. So,
Yeah.
And I've never
anything you
had
know,
a testimony that was those like, and I'm very grateful for this, but like that huge, like I was an addict or I was that, a lot of people like seek those like savior moments. And I'm just
Dramatic
like,
ones.
yeah,
God,
Yep.
how are you gonna use me? And I always say that. And it is in these small, ordinary ways that I'm like so grateful for. And yeah, so I don't know. I hope when I get to heaven, God says, good and faithful servant, welcome. But it is in these moments where I let go and I look back and I'm just like, you're so awesome. God's so awesome.
yeah,
Uh, you know, uh, I'm gonna take a moment and share something yesterday that came to me in a prayer. And God said, stop expecting the big, dramatic miracles. And he basically was tempoing like, the only way I think he can show up for me is big and dramatic and just this like boom. And I've put him in a box, and he doesn't want me to box him. He's unboxable. And he's tempoing my mind of I can show up any way I want to show up for you.
yeah,
But if you think that it has to be these miracles, then you're going to feel let down because it's my expectation, right? Back to your expectation versus what reality is. And he's just reminding me that I can't box him, I can't outthink him, I can't control him. He's ultimately in control, and he's going to show up when, where, and how he pleases. And it could be big and it could be small. And it could be where it feels ordinary, but in the background, in the reflective portion of it, I see it as a miracle. It could be however he chooses it to be. But I do agree. We oftentimes think that miracles happen in these big, dramatic, like, well, I went to church one day, I was on drugs and I went to church and I was healed and never thought about drugs ever again. But not everybody has that. And
Thankfully, too.
yeah,
Yeah.
thankfully,
yeah,
not everybody has that. Yes.
yeah.
I mean, that's not my story. That's not Brian's story. But we know people whose stories that
Oh yeah.
is,
Yeah.
right?
We still have
And
our testimony. Yeah.
I,
It's very
I
real.
think some people need that. And it just is a really good testament to God knows exactly what you need, when you need it, where you need it to come from, and then how to deliver it in such a way that you give glory back to Him. And I think
Exactly.
that is what we all get wrapped up in other ways of, well, I want a big bang story. No, sorry. That's not what you're getting.
You don't really. I mean, it's gonna happen. I have big moments too that you just
Yeah.
drop to your knees and cry. But it's those small ones too. But I'm just so grateful to be a Christian, regardless of having one of those like really big moments. My testimony is just as important, And on my flight to San Diego on Friday, I was sitting next to a guy. He had his sunglasses on and he was gripping the seat so tight. And I was just like, hi, it's a 45-minute flight. I was just like, hey, you okay? And he's just like, I'm terrified to fly. And I was like, oh, it's going to be okay. It's a short trip. I'm trying to calm him down or whatever. And we're just trying to have conversation for takeoff, to distract him. And he's like, I'm on my way to rehab in San Diego. Like, I'm a drug addict. I'm an alcoholic. And he's like, I've got all these. And he kept taking more medication and more medication, like every 15 minutes. And I was like getting a little worried for him. But he was just like, I'm recently saved. Jesus has done amazing things in my life. And like, he's just called me to go to San Diego. And this looks like a beautiful place. And he had like a bunch of like tattoos. He's like, look at this tattoo. Like, this one's like demonic and devil worshiping. And I'm getting it tattooed over. And it was just like, I got to have like this like Jesus conversation with him too. And I'm like, God, you just sit him next to a Christian when he's like a new Christian, and it's like I can have these conversations and it just brings us, it's that common denominator that just brings you together, whether you're going through it right now and have that dramatic story happening and I get to witness it.
Yeah.
And then you have somebody who's been a Christian for a very long time and God just reminds you, don't be that lukewarm. I'm working in so many people's lives. And, he just gave me a little glimpse of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kersha calls them God winks. So you got a little God
Oh,
wink.
that's cute.
So, yeah.
I do. I mean, it's not a coincidence that he sat you next to him.
Yeah.
No, he
It was very
oh, gosh.
purposeful.
He kept saying, my
And
husband talked about games and all these other things with him, and at the end he was just like, thank you so much for talking to me. Like, thank you. Like, and we don't talk. We're one of those people that put our headphones on. We don't talk to anybody. We fly a lot. We're just like, don't talk to me. I want to listen to my audiobook. It was just one of those things that we're like, we talked to him the whole time. The flight went by so quickly. It was great.
Purpose to it. There's purpose
I mean,
to it.
that's one of those flights you get up and you start descending.
Yeah, it was like 45 minutes. It was great.
Yeah.
Well, we have to, obviously we have to have you come back on as another episode to talk about having your hand closed. So we'll have to.
But maybe we'll have to bring hubby on because
Yes.
then we could get his perspective on what it really feels like when your wife lets go.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can bring tithing into that too. We're always chatting about that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good one. And we're teaching our kids about that right now because the importance of it. So, yes.
Yeah.
Well, Ray, anything in closing that you want people to take away from this?
I'm sure we've gone over time, but that's what happens when we talk God, and we can relate on many different levels. But just thanks for having me, and I just prayed, beforehand that our conversation would be a blessing to others.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
absolutely. Thank you for coming on and carving the time out.
Yeah, that is something that we hope for and we pray for every time that we come on for sure. So, Raya, thank you so much for joining us. And for those that have tuned in and watched, thank you for watching today's episode. And until next time, we'll catch you on another episode of Crazy Unbelievable Faith. Thank you.